Nicole, it's good to see you again. And on behalf of all of Alithya, thanks again for doing this. We really appreciate your time. So to kick us off, can I just have you start with introduction yourself, your role at Foundation, a little bit about your history and your background in HR. I know you've been in the space for a number of years now. So why don't we get started
Yeah,
there?
sure. I'm Nicole Welch, and I am the Chief Human Resource Officer for Foundation Health Partners. I've been in this specific role for almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years this December, but I've been with the organization for 25 years and all in HR. So I've had the opportunity to hold several different roles within the department and the organization, and have seen the organization evolve in several different ways. We used to be managed by a larger health system out of Arizona, and in 2017 we made the decision to go independent. So the last 8 years have been a wild ride of managing a small health system at the end of the road in the middle of the nowhere, as we like to say, Fairbanks, Alaska.
Sure.
And obviously healthcare in general is challenging, but healthcare in a rural setting like Alaska can be exceptionally challenging. And so it's definitely had some highs and some lows, but it's definitely a great organization, and very excited to be a part of the organization and to specifically be part of the HR team.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that. And I'll validate it is a great organization. Our team had an exceptional time with Foundation. Everyone really enjoyed you and the team.
That's
So
awesome.
we can certainly appreciate that. And happy early 10-year anniversary. I
Thank
say
you.
that. Yeah, of course. Of course. And so I think that was a good segue into kind of the first discussion topic or first question. In what was it, from an organizational standpoint specific to HR, right? Because that's your area that,
Yeah.
made you start thinking about this decision to move to Oracle Cloud and off of your current systems, and what
Yeah.
were the kind of expectations or benefits that you were hoping to get out of that?
Sure. So when we shifted away from our previous kind of management company, we were with Lawson. And so we had a very tight turnaround time to make that transition. And so we just stayed with Lawson.
Yeah.
And it was what we knew. And it was like, let's just we called it lift and shift, because there's just a lot of change happening. And so let's keep the HR system very, very stable and very similar. Um, After 8 years, and it was really 5 years in, we began to realize this isn't really the system for an organization our size. We needed a lot more technology than this system was providing, or at least the aspects of the system that we had purchased. We were still being very manual. HR was still keying everything. So it was
Yeah.
very time intensive, I would say, system. And so, once the dust kind of settles, you begin to realize, what do we need as an organization? What's going to help us move forward? And that's when the discussions began. In addition, there were changes, obviously, on the Lawson platform. We were being told we needed to move from Lawson 10 to Lawson 11, which sounds like maybe a simple upgrade, but in fact was going to be a complete implementation as well. So all of that spurred us to go out to the market and look at a few different systems. And we finalized on Oracle for various reasons. We felt like it had the capabilities to really manage our people resources in the way that we wanted to, and much more efficiently. But also, we obviously use it for other areas of the organization as well, with finance and supply chain. So it kind of brought everything under one umbrella. And there's great connectivity and efficiency whenever you can do that as well. And in addition, I think we were able to sort of right size for our organization. Obviously, Oracle is huge, but it
Mhm.
had the capability to right size to our 1,800 employee organization versus the 50,000 banner organization. So just a lot of opportunity there to make it our own and to do things that we dreamed of doing in managing our people and the data from our people.
Yeah, that's excellent and a great choice. We've obviously seen a lot of our clients going to Oracle, and we're extremely happy that you selected us in your
Mm-hmm.
journey and that we
Yes.
could partner with you. And so
Mm-hmm.
so maybe a question on that is, the landscape for partners and consultants is large, and I know obviously in your diligence you looked at a number of them. But
Mm-hmm.
is there anything specific that you could share that drove you to working with Alithya on this project?
Yeah, I would say you're right. I think we actually met with 3 or 4 different consulting partners at the time. And it was pretty unanimous about Alithia. I think there was sort of a more personal touch that we appreciated, but also the level of expertise was really apparent in that kickoff presentation. And we had, just come off implementing several systems as we transitioned away from a mothership to independence. And so
Hmm.
we were all pretty raw
Yeah,
from that experience. Implementations are no joke. They are hard, right? No matter how
yeah,
good it is, they're hard
absolutely.
and they take a toll. And so I think we had learned some lessons about what kind of partner we needed. And what we really needed was expertise. We needed a command and control style. You're going to do this, then, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this,
Yep.
because left to our own devices, we just don't know. And so we really needed someone who had been there, done that. And it was like a walk in the park for them from a perspective of we do this every day. And we needed that confidence. And I think we all left the meeting with Alithia feeling that there was a confidence there and you had done this before and you could do it again for us. We like to think we're super special and unique, but we're not. We're a health system. And so it just, there was real confidence in knowing that, you guys had done this before and could
Mhm.
help us navigate that. Even though we sort of like to control consultants, sometimes we needed a consultant that would control us. And we felt like your team could do that.
Yeah, that's excellent and great feedback. And you're spot on. We've done that transition from Infor a number of times, and
Hmm.
so there's always a lot of benefit in the background and the experience and move it on. But
Yeah.
every client is special, and
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
are special.
They think they are,
Um,
at least.
yeah, yeah, and you really never know client by client how it's going to go or what kind of who's going to drive what and how much
Yeah.
control. And so I feel like our partnership between Foundation was one of the best I've seen, with both
Hmm.
teams kind of leaning in and just making sure that everything got done and
Yeah.
working together through challenges throughout
Yeah.
the whole year-long process, and even
Hmm.
before that, going through the evaluation. So,
Hmm.
what a treat for us to have a great partnership like that. And so,
For sure.
um, next question. You obviously manage, a lot of people on your team in a large organization. Curious to hear um, what the feedback from the folks on your team has been in regard to the transition, the move, and how they're all
Mhm.
feeling just in general. So
Sure.
if you have any insight there, that'd be excellent.
Yeah. So we're 3 months in. So I think the dust is still settling on some level, and
Hmm.
we're changing a lot of workflows. But I think there was immediate benefit into just the transactional keying. And
Yeah.
so previous to Oracle, we leaders had to complete a form that came to HR, and then HR keyed it into the HR system. And now leaders have a lot of control to key things right into the system, kind of reducing the steps for both sides of the fence. The leader has more control. It happens on their timing, not waiting for the HR, process to happen. And so we found immediate, I think, benefit right out of the gate. Everyone's different levels of tech savvy. So there's, been learning curves for some
Hmm.
of our leaders and whatnot,
Hmm.
and being much more paper free, if you will. But those have been easy hurdles, I think, to overcome when they see just the efficiency of the system and so user friendly as well. We just happen to, in our first quarter is our annual evaluation season, which again was a very heavy paper process in the past, and leaders
Hmm.
completed evals on paper. They then scanned them in, they mailed them to HR. HR then keyed them into the system, then had to upload them into a file. Now everything just happens right there. Like everything is electronic.
Fantastic.
HR doesn't touch it at all. It's really between the leader and the employee, and then it's automatically into the employee's file. I mean, that is I can't tell you hours of HR time and efficiency gained. And then just the simplicity of completing an eval in a document form in Oracle. I mean, the praise level, I couldn't have planned it better. That was not a
Good.
plan, but what a great way to kick off a new system because it won leaders over. Like any
Yeah.
resistance was won over by just the simplicity of that process alone. And everyone is completing that process here in the first quarter of the year. And so I think we've had some immediate wins, which helps with, there's nuances that aren't as good, right? Any
Hmm.
system creates a new
Absolutely.
dynamic. And so having to overcome some of those new hurdles, but there's automatic like acceptance out of the gate really helps with overcoming some of the other challenges that you face with a new system.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Mhm.
that's anytime you go through a large change like this, it's certainly going to be the case. And
Yeah,
it's excellent to hear that we've got some really positive wins, even though there's going to be an element of change and training that continues to go on.
right,
And
right.
yeah, I have no doubt in the long run that this is the right strategic direction
Hmm.
for
For sure.
Foundation.
Hmm.
Um, so next question is, um, there's going to be a lot of people in your shoes going through this process and this evaluation coming up that really have never done it before, or maybe not been fully involved in a capacity of a project like this.
Hmm.
As they're going through their evaluation process or kind of looking to go for the right direction, is there any kind of guidance you would give someone in your role when doing this that you could share?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. And in some ways, I feel like you just don't know until you're in it. But
Yeah, sure.
I,
Yeah.
it's like a parent, right? Like I'm going to give you some advice, but you may or may not take it because you just have to experience it. But
Yeah,
a couple
absolutely.
of things, hindsight, that I would do, and in preparation is understand that workflow timeline a little closer. I looked at the timeline from Alithya, which was such a powerful tool through the whole process.
Hmm.
But I didn't take time to really sit down, meet with my pillar expert and my, pillar project manager and say, okay, no, really walk me through the intensity level of each of these phases. Because like with any project, it's resource intensive. It becomes we had added a couple of team members to my team to assist with this project. So I feel like we were actually set up fairly well. But at the end of the day, it became sort of all hands on deck. And I feel like I could have probably done a better job of just preparing my core team for how they would be sucked in. And there were a couple of team members that got sucked in more than I had expected them to. And it
Hmm.
was really stressful. They were basically doing their real job and this new ERP
Hmm.
implementation job. And so there were a couple of people that I feel like I created some PTSD for them. And I don't know that you can completely avoid that because it is just such a unique project and it's going to impact people on your team and you need the people on your team. They're the subject matter experts to participate. And so in reflection, I wish I would have understood kind of that specific workflows and I could have just maybe better resourced or better prepared some areas of my team. In the main, I feel like my team were rock stars. I feel like we were appropriately resourced, but there were a couple individuals that I wish I would have managed a little differently. The other thing that really became apparent was preparing your vendors that you're doing this implementation because we
Hmm.
had a
That's
couple of
good
vendors
advice.
who our emergency was not their emergency, right?
Yep.
Our
Hmm.
timeline of
Hmm.
implementation did not fit their availability. And so we had some down to the wire integrations because of that. And I think, the previous year or, 6 months prior to kickoff, we could have been having those dialogues with our vendors that we're about to do this. This is going to impact you. We're going to need a team, assigned to us to help us with that. And we didn't do that early. We did that in the moment. And then we ended up having some resource challenges from our vendors. So I
Hmm.
think those were my two kind of takeaways. If I was going to do this again, I would sit down and really think through my team dynamic a little bit more and then really reach out proactively to all of my vendors pre-start to let them know what's coming and when we expect to need their involvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great pearls and
Mhm.
certainly something that every organization should be aware of as we kind of go on this endeavor
Yeah.
of a change like this. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
very valuable feedback. And so I'll wrap it up with one more. Is there any other one or two maybe thoughts that you have or anything outstanding that you'd like to share
Yeah.
with everyone that's going to view this as we move forward?
I would just reiterate the partnership with Alithya. I don't think it would have been as successful without Alithya. It was a very long year. There were highs and there were lows.
Sure.
They were
Sure.
like, is this going to go off? Okay. There were all of that mixed in, but the partnership always, for me, built confidence. We had an exceptional project manager in Charlie. He was a taskmaster, but he kept us on track. He knew when to push, he knew when to flex, and he was always available. And then we had some excellent pillar experts as well in all of the areas. We just wouldn't have been successful without them. And it's interesting. It's a little bit sad because you spend a whole year with these individuals, and then it's like, okay, bye. And you build relationships, you build
Yeah,
friendships, you get to know each other.
absolutely.
So we have since just here in November, in March, transitioned from our implementation Alithya team to some managed support services through
Hmm.
Alithya that we're going to continue. So it's a new set of team members, all
Hmm.
excellent. So I think it's because of that partnership that being so successful during implementation that it was a no-brainer for us to continue that support for the next couple of years as we continue to, there's always things, right? When you implement a new system, there's always kinks or things that need to continue to be worked out. And then there's just the evolution of how you use the system. And so having that expert, partner to help us as we consider how we're going to evolve with the system is something we really need. And it was a no-brainer for us to continue with Alithya for those services, given how well the implementation went.
Well, we appreciate that, and we obviously look forward to a long partnership and with Foundation and being able to be part of the team. And I know, like you said, it's going to come in a smaller capacity than before, but
Yeah,
we're certainly appreciative of your support and allowing us to be part of your team. So
awesome.
it was exciting for us. So.
Good.
Yeah, on behalf of Alithya, appreciate everything you've done for us and with
Mhm.
us. And again, thank you so much for taking this time.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ian. I really appreciate the ask, and I'm proud to represent FHP and really echo. I'm sure I speak while I'm speaking for HR. I know that the other areas of finance and supply chain had similar experiences, and so I feel confident that I'm speaking for all of FHP.
And we certainly appreciate that. It's a great partnership.
Yes.